Is Cat Quest 2 still worth playing in 2024? In 2017, the Gentle Bros released Cat Quest, a 2.5D cat-themed RPG overflowing with cat puns, a solid core gameplay loop, and tight action. It received generally favourable reviews and was a success for the company, leading to this sequel in 2019. With the imminent release of Cat Quest 3, is Cat Quest 2 still worth your time? Cat Quest 2 is set in the world of Feline Guard and the Lupus Empire, where cats and dogs have been at odds for ages. The story follows two main characters, a cat and a dog, who are resurrected by a mysterious spirit to fulfill an ancient prophecy. They must work together to reclaim their thrones from the tyrannical Lion of the Persecutor, the Cat King, and Wolfen the Labrador, the Dog King, who have usurped power and plunged the kingdoms into chaos. As the cat and dog heroes embark on their quest, they uncover the truth behind the ancient conflict, learning about the history and reasons behind the long-standing enmity between cats and dogs. They face numerous challenges and adversaries, gradually gathering eyes and power to dismantle the corrupt regimes of Lionel and Wolfen. Will they be able to restore peace and order to both Feline Guard and the Lupus Empire, uniting the two kingdoms, breaking the cycle of war, and ushering in an era of harmony and cooperation between cats and dogs? The story emphasises themes of unity, friendship, and overcoming long-standing divisions by embarking on this quest. The plot of Cat Quest 2 shifts away from a tale of an individual's quest for revenge to a political tale of overcoming differences. One narrative structure isn't necessarily better than the other, and it's the narrative presented in Cat Quest 2 is more appropriate for the co-op nature of the game. I think it's ultimately done better than in Cat Quest 1. The narrative is more sophisticated than the first, and more convincingly tells a larger and more well-defined story, despite still heavily relying on cliches and puns. So many more puns than in the first game, to the point where even I, as someone who derives childish glee from a good pun, start to find the incredibly forced puns quite grating. Particularly egregious were many instances where the pun made absolutely no sense in the sentence or word, giving the impression that there was a pun per X lines quota that had to be met, with terrible puns being shoehorned in to meet the requirements. The core of Cat Quest 2 is pretty much identical to the first in the series. It tasks you and your canine companion with a series of quests to retake your rightful places on the thrones of your kingdoms and prevent the kingdoms from fighting a bloody war. You'll spend much of the game exploring the vast open world, grinding enemies, completing dungeons and quests, and finding hidden treasure. The main addition to Cat Quest 2 is your canine companion. As you are the returning fabled Cat King, they too are the returning canine leader. I played Cat Quest 2 in its single player mode, utilising the AI companion to complement my playstyle. Where I primarily played as a cat and built myself around melee combat, I focused on a ranged build for the dog to keep them away from clustered fights and to be able to continue fighting should I go down. With the two characters, you have the option of playing the game in co-op mode, allowing two players to work together and build their characters how they like. Main missions and side quests play out mostly the same as in Cat Quest 1, only able to accept either a main or side mission at any one time. The quests themselves are again well designed, with the humour of the mission context making up for the missions all being variations of go to a place and kill monsters. The larger map of the sequel offers many more quests to complete. There are also many quests that are either pulled directly from the first game or are the same quests with minor alterations, even being given from the same towns. It's not something that's unexpected, there's only so much you can do with the formula. However, it was a little disappointing that some of these repeats appeared so early on in the game. I've played a few games on this channel now since my review of Cat Quest 1, but I still immediately got a sense of deja vu on these quests, asking myself, didn't they do this last time? With that being said, there are also a decent amount of new quests that are really well done, particularly the side missions that lean more into the meta storytelling and humour. In this regard, the Gentle Bros have clearly attempted to maximise the content on offer to the player, and while I was initially disheartened by the reappearance of similar or same quests early on, it's clear that there's a lot more on offer with the side quests of Cat Quest 2, whether that's quantity, quality, or creativity. Once again, there is a large overworld to explore, filled with side quests, fast travel points, dungeons to clear, monsters to slay, and lore to discover. I'm pleased to say that you can actually move the map and zoom in and out this time around, which means you can actually find where things are fairly easily now, which is great. The map also provides an overview of how many dungeons and quests you've completed and pieces of loot collected. The incomplete dungeons and quests will be visible on the map, so you can pick your way through the overworld to pick up anything you have missed. The new fast travel system makes this process so much smoother and easier. Dungeon design this time round was a particular standout for me. There was more variety both visually and in gameplay for the dungeons than in the first, offering a range of new environments, enemies, puzzles and traps to contend with. While in the first game equipment upgrades are completely random, Cat Quest 2 implements a system allowing you to target upgrades to specific items you frequently use. While drops from chests will be random and quests in the world will offer specific rewards, Kit's upgrade system has been altered from random loot boxes providing a chance for upgrades to purchasing item upgrades directly at an increasing cost each time. Kit provides upgrades for armor and Hoto Doggo provides upgrades for weapons. This change to the loot system is probably one of the best changes made between games. While I enjoyed the randomness of the loot and upgrades in the first game, it's hard to deny just how much of an improvement this is. I'm glad the Gentle Bros chose to tweak and improve the system they had instead of scrapping it to implement something entirely new. The old system means you'll be empowering your arsenal as a whole through chests while not having to rely on RNG for upgrades to specific weapons that you like. In addition to being able to more easily target a specific build, Cat Quest 2 also provides a range of new spells to add to your arsenal, allowing you to equip 4 to each character. As with the first game, you also earn special skills as you progress through the main story, such as damage when rolling or water walking. The combat from the first game also makes its return. There's once again a wide selection of weapons to choose from with different stats and bonuses to suit different playstyles. Attacks from enemies are again either indicated through a growing circle around an enemy for melee attacks, or a vertical or diagonal box for spells, with damage occurring once the box or circle reaches its peak. The clear visuals are great for one-on-one fights, but the same group fight issue returns from the first game. It's almost impossible to see these circles with more than a few enemies on screen, making it difficult to judge when it is safe to enter melee range. This issue is exacerbated when fighting in the Canine Kingdom, as much of the open world there is desert or savanna, making it hard to spot multiple red circles on a reddish or orange background. The art style also carries over from the first game, but is vastly improved. While retaining the same DNA, Cat Quest 2 looks crisper, more detailed and more polished than the original. The soundtrack is also a rip from the first game, particularly while in Feline Guard. I had the same issue with the soundtrack that I had for the first game. Not only was much of the music identical to the first game, particularly in Feline Guard, there still lacked the variation that once again made it somewhat repetitive. The same overworld music on a short loop as in the first game, the same dungeon music on loop as in the first game, even a slight alteration during combat, no matter how brief, would make up for this. It was a real bugbear of mine for the first game, and it's a shame that it's carried over to the second. While the music in the Dog Empire is new and different, it does suffer the same issue. The same track on repeat in the overworld and dungeons with no variation. I couldn't tell if the sound effects were also carried over from the first game, but I felt I could hear some new ones thrown into the mix. The audio design is pretty solid, attacks felt meaty enough for the style of the game, and I was particularly fond of the sound of melee attacks on the rocky enemies. While it didn't quite match what you would expect from a sword or axe hitting stone, it produced a nice soft thud that I found to be quite satisfying. Overall, the game doesn't feel too difficult, striking a good balance between being too hard and too easy. There's a welcome addition of more variety in enemies and their attacks, with external projectiles to dodge outside of the growing circle melee attack continued from the first game, and Cat Quest 2 ran buttery smooth for me. No frame rate drops, no glitches or bugs cropped up during my playthrough. Cat Quest 2 offers a substantial main story, a plethora of side quests, collectibles and endgame content, a New Game Plus mode aptly called New Game Plus. There's also incentives for replaying the game, including trying out different character builds, completing all the side quests, and discovering hidden lore and treasures. The co-op mode adds another layer of replayability, as you can experience the game differently depending on whether you play alone or bring a friend. Cat Quest 2 builds on the solid foundation of the first game, offering a more polished and expansive experience. The addition of a canine companion, improved dungeon design, and a more sophisticated narrative make it a worthy sequel. While some elements, like the repetitive soundtrack and recycled quests, could have been addressed better, the overall package is a delightful and engaging RPG that remains worth playing in 2024. Whether you're a returning fan or new to the series, Cat Quest 2 provides a charming and fun adventure filled with humour, action and plenty of puns. With the third installment on the horizon, now is a great time to dive into the world of the Feline Guard and Lupus Empires to experience the adventures of our feline and canine heroes. I gave Cat Quest a 7.5, finding it to be very good and approaching excellence with several strong attributes and a few minor flaws. Cat Quest 2 is a definite and substantial improvement, enough so that I think it deserves a full extra point above Cat Quest, earning a well-deserved 8.5. Cat Quest 2 is near excellent with high quality and very few minor issues, and it gets an overall ranking of generally worth it. This has been Food Fork Gaming. If you've made it to the end, then thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can either leave a comment below, like the video, or subscribe to the channel. Until next time, happy gaming!